All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Prosper Nutrition Show, where we want you to prosper and be in health. My name is Jason Steves. I'm a clinical account specialist with Perk Integrative Health, and I'm joined by my co-host, Steve Steves, who is a certified clinical nutritionist and naturopath. And today we're going to be talking to you about food sensitivities. Can food sensitivities lead to allergies? This is an important question, something that we want to educate you on today. So, welcome. And Steve, welcome. How are you doing this morning?
Doing great. It's late March, headed into April here in the Houston area, and I know food allergies and the association with or food sensitivities and their association with the environmental allergies. It's so very clear, but I've studied it for years and applied it, and that's how we learn. Of course, the testing made all the difference in the world and even in most recent days, because we can't always tell when we have a reaction. We can eat a food and we may have a reaction that's delayed and we don't associate it with why that food sensitivity caused that trigger the next day, from a headache to sinus infection to gastric distress, whatever. And we're even going to show an immune wheel that links the different delayed sensitivities and the different conditions that people are diagnosed with, many of the autoimmune conditions. So, this is a vast discussion
Mhm.
of the fearfully and wonderfully made immune system. I'm just really excited to get into it, Jason.
Yes, it is. It's an important issue that I think a lot of people aren't aware of, and we want to make sure you're aware of this today. So stay tuned. We're going to get into the details. We are here every Thursday at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. We're going to be talking about all the different nutrition topics, health topics, and we want to answer your questions as well. So if you are here live with us, we've got a chat. Type your questions into the chat. Any other things you'd like to share in there with the group or us? We'd love to hear from you. And stick around to the end of the show. We're going to be offering a discount code for 10% off the supplements that we talk about today. So stay tuned for that. And we're also going to be offering a discount on testing if you are going to come and do testing through our clinic, Nutrition and Health Center. That's something that you can do as well. So stick around and stay tuned for that. Now, let's just talk about that. Can food sensitivities lead to allergies? This is an interesting question. Now, the first thing to kind of break down is what are food sensitivities, right? People need to understand what those are. So, Steve, how would you help people understand what a food sensitivity is?
Well, a food sensitivity can manifest itself in various ways, but what typically happens is people will eat a food and the mucosal lining of the GI tract sends internal inflammatory triggers, cytokines, chemokines throughout the immune system, and then inflammation happens in the body. So, some type of a pain and inflammation occurs, discomfort that's associated with that food trigger, that food sensitivity. So, all in all, it's a burden for the immune system. I'd like to show briefly, or if you have it handy, Jason, I've got it already actually. It's the, let me share my screen. It shows a picture of the immune wheel, we call it, and you can see
Yeah,
the
right.
sensitivities, the triggers, and the activation that happens. So IgA, IgM, and IgG, you can see that these triggers can cause a sinus infection, rhinitis, even can cause anemia, thyroid issues, big issue there. You see
Yeah.
sinusitis under IgM as a trigger, type 1
Yeah. Yeah.
diabetes, just so many correlations to foods and immune complexes that are triggered that will weaken immunity. So it's this total immune load that creates a weakened system. and therefore we become susceptible and allergies become prevalent. And I've experienced that, and we see so many. And people will say, and we're gonna share a discount code for our immune bundle at the end here because it is the key formulas that people will say, I started on your vitamin C ascorbate and I don't have allergies anymore. And I've lived in Houston my whole life and I've had allergies for 30 years, 40 years, however old they are. It's quite remarkable. So,
Yeah, what you were describing as far as a food sensitivity. Now, one of the things that would be helpful for people to know is a food sensitivity is not a food allergy. So they're different. Now, immediate food allergies, and we saw that wheel, those are things like peanut allergies where people get anaphylaxis and they start swelling up immediately. Food sensitivities are actually more of a delayed response, and it's not always very noticeable. Usually people aren't noticing that response and their immune system responds and creates inflammation. So food sensitivities, so can these foods, why is this what does this have to do with allergies, right? Most people are like, well, I'm having seasonal allergies. I'm responding because all the pollen in the air. So that's why I'm having these allergies. What do these food sensitivities have to do with this? So how would you explain to someone that's kind of like, you know, I don't know, I don't I don't know the connection here. How does that relate my food sensitivities to the allergies from, the environment? How would you help someone understand that connection?
well, the food sensitivity is going to activate the mucosal lining
Mm,
within the GI tract, which
yeah.
is connected to the upper GI, the sinuses,
Mm,
which is connected to the lungs, and that the whole mucous membrane system of the
mm.
body is all interconnected. In fact, I heard a immunologist say one time, as soon as you take a bite of something, your rectum knows it's coming in an instant
Yeah.
because the cells linked end to end all have this intercommunication that's instantaneous,
Yeah.
and it's going to tell the colon, increase in mucus production. We've got a food that we're sensitive to and we want to flush this out. So when more mucus production is produced, immunoglobulins, and we're putting more immune burden, that adds more mucus everywhere. And of course, we see more immune burden that triggers or makes you more susceptible to additional environmental allergies like tree pollen or pollen from the grass or molds and
Right.
various chemical sensitivities, which
Right.
is why the discussion of the lymphocyte response assay is so important because we just don't measure food sensitivities or food to chemical reactivity. We also measure
Yes.
environmental chemicals, and I'd like to show a list of those so people can understand the things that are very sensitizing. And
Right.
we also saw a report today from the Environmental Working Group. Folks, EWG.org needs your support. They are trying to keep the public up to date on all of the toxic exposures, and we're battling against where they're
Mm,
making chemicals legal, putting them on foods, and it's creating more disease. And they're trying to put a stop to that. And you can see that, Jason, where you highlighted that the environmental
yeah.
chemicals. Now, that's a basic panel
Mm-hmm.
that only does 66 food items. If you could scroll down to the comprehensive and show them how much more, this is the one we're giving 10% off today. So it measures sensitivity of 166 foods. And then down on the next list, there's 61, I believe, 61 environmental chemicals, 28
Mm-hmm.
molds, 28 different preservatives, food colorings, and toxic minerals that you
Yep.
may have
And
come
look
in.
here, this is probably one of the ones that you were referring to that group is probably combating is the glyphosate,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, glyphosate is what's in Roundup. And folks, if you're spraying that on your driveway, uh, I just encourage you to do not use that stuff. It's highly carcinogenic. And they're
Yeah.
trying to ban that. Also trying to, if you can zoom in on some of those others, Jason, they're just so many chemicals that people get exposed to and they don't realize their toxic effect. Even what's in our water supply.
Hmm.
So, had a gentleman recently who is dealing with scleroderma and his skin is a mess. And he said his skin turns red, terribly red, right during a shower and afterwards. And I said,
Mm.
well, look at the chemicals that are in regular water. And I pulled up a research report on that. There's 28 to 42 chemicals that are either
Mm.
toxic metals or environmental pesticides, chemicals. And we need to filter our water that we're washing our skin with because it absorbs into our body in that manner. And then you'll have a sensitivity to it, and then you'll have allergies, and it's just a weaker immune system. And really, the end result is sure, you can suffer through allergies a number of years and weakened immunity, but one day the severe stuff can catch up to you, such as cancer and more autoimmune conditions.
Right. Yeah. So, folks, I mean, can food allergies lead, I mean, can food sensitivities lead to allergies? Yeah. So Steve was mentioning that the membranes of the body recognize and respond. Now, one of the things that you can think about too is these food sensitivities we're dealing with is creating inflammation in our system and it's burdening our immune system. So our ability for our immune system to repair and to have a healthy response to environmental things like pollens, that is really what is a big problem as far as leading to these seasonal allergies. If your immune system is actually healthy and there's not as much of that burden because of food sensitivities, then the response is maybe a little bit, maybe sneeze here and there, but not so much of the allergy response that a lot of people have day to day. I think that's something that is important to think about because most people aren't very disciplined about their diet, right? We're struggling with our diets today, especially with so many processed foods. So definitely consider doing a food sensitivity test because even healthy foods, your immune system may not be wanting to take at this time. I needed to avoid salmon and lemon and garbanzo beans for a 3 to 6 month period because my immune system at that time was sensitive to those foods. And when I avoided them, my immune system got healthier and some of the issues I was dealing with, disappeared.
But
And
so,
yeah, it's
when
pretty amazing.
you mentioned that, the importance, those are healthy foods. And one of the reasons that people get sensitivities to healthy foods is they really eat too much of it. Their body just builds up a sensitivity. There was probably a time where you were having hummus every day for weeks on end and even multiple times a day. Um, that's often the case. And so with the LRA, you will receive a report that gives you a food rotation plan. They also will give you a recommended or a recommendation of the supplements from the Prosper Nutrition line that target your specific needs that you mentioned as you fill out that questionnaire, and then you get that response in the test results that go with the lymphocyte response assay. We encourage you to get that. Hopefully, Jason will come back on here with that code. Let me double check my link with him. I think he's coming back on. There he is.
Yes. So you're talking about the food?
Yeah, and I mentioned the lymphocyte response assay, and
Yes.
when they get the report that they get a food rotation diet, that they also receive
Right.
a supplement plan based on their report, their test results, but also their symptom questionnaire that they fill out with the lymphocyte response assay tests that they do. Now, we do those. We have a really good phlebotomist that comes to the clinic once a month, and you can set up for that, or we can arrange for you to have a test done at your home. There's additional fee for a phlebotomist to come and do that, but we can get that done as well. This test is worth its weight in gold. Jason's showing some test results here.
Yeah, so this is what results will look like. You'll show up items in your environment that you're reactive to, strong versus moderate. The The amount of time you avoid strong is 6 months, moderate 3 months. And then there may be food combinations that come up. But the great thing about this test is it talks about lifestyle changes and supplementation, but it also talks about these items in detail that you're reactive to, where they're coming from. If they're an item that's like a chemical and you may not know the history of that item,
Like, yeah,
sodium
sodium benzoate
benzoate.
there. A
Yeah.
lot of,
And
and
then,
then we go through that report with the clientele that come in, explain to them where they could be getting exposed. Many
right.
times they'll show like a petrochemical that, and when you ask like toluene, that's from a petrochemical base.
Hmm.
And when we see that, I'll say, okay, tell me if your garage is attached to your home. And many
Hmm.
of them will say yes. Do you? And I ask them, do you keep gas? So like, well, you've got your car there. Your car smells like gas. A lot of them do. And people will have gas cans, they'll have mowers, and that recirculates easily into their home. So you want to arrange for any kind of petroleum-based chemical products to be separate from your house. We do that with our house. We have a separate garage and separate buildings to keep gas-powered equipment. And even our gas cans are contained in a separate gas container or a plastic container outside that has its own lid and it's separate. So just so much we have to be aware of because there's a lot of unseen things that you get contamination with on a constant basis. Just like in electromagnetic fields. The amount of
Hmm.
radiation that's put off from Wi-Fi systems is just overwhelming. So we shut
Yeah.
our Wi-Fi off most of the time at the house unless we're actually using it and stay away from the devices because I have a environmental or a electromagnetic field measuring device and it picks up those frequencies and it's scary. And even in our office, we're close to a cell phone tower, and that signal on the backside of our office is really strong, and you can see the
Hmm.
effect of that. So it's
Yeah.
all around us, folks. We just have to be wise as serpents and harmless as doves to stay away from toxic chemicals with foods that we're sensitive to. If we want to enjoy the outdoors, and get outside. I went out and played a little golf yesterday afternoon, did some practicing. It was so beautiful and had no allergies. But I took my immune components all day long like I was supposed to. And remember this about vitamin C. If you're having a reaction, you can take vitamin C, ascorbate, immediately. It will help your body's antihistamine production and quench that environmental allergy. So keep that ascorbate with you. The best way to take it is in a powder. Do let it dissolve for at least 3 to 5 minutes so that it doesn't have gas bubbles in your digestive tract, and you'll get immediate immune activation. It's remarkable. And I'm about to hit my second dose for the day. It's 10:30 in the morning,
Mm.
and my body's ready for that second one. And
Yeah.
even on the
So,
on the on the LRA, they give you recommendations on how much to take. So that's an additional service that people typically will have to pay us for, but that'll be in the report if you go ahead and order that test and take advantage of that discount for those that are
hmm
listening.
yes. So, uh, with this question that we're answering, can food sensitivities lead to allergies? We're finding out that it very well can, and it's important what we eat, but we need to find out if our immune system is reactive to even healthy foods and other chemicals that we may not be aware of in our environment. The LRA test is really pretty much the only one that we know that helps you investigate your environment and find out where you're having these sources of exposures and what alternatives you can do to healthy foods. It provides a rotation diet, so we definitely encourage that, and we're offering. Thank you, Steve, for doing that. We're offering it at the Nutrition and Health Center, the comprehensive panel, 10% off, and you can contact the Nutrition and Health Center to take advantage of that opportunity. It's 281-440-0024 or info@nutritionandhealthcenter.com. So contact our office, let them know that we offered you a 10% discount on the show today, and they will provide that for you. Now, we want to make sure that you do take advantage as well of some discount on the supplements. If your immune system is low, like we said, you want to boost your immune function. Vitamin C Max has ascorbate vitamin C, which is the nature's preferred form. Our body prefers that form of vitamin C in a supplement and takes it in. There's not any acidic load like ascorbic acid. A lot of these vitamin C supplements have. It's very acid on the body. So that will help lift your immune system up, help it have that competence so that it doesn't tend to overreact to these allergies that we have during the season. And there are some other tips. We've got a special guest, but it's a recorded video. Dr. Jaffe is going to share some tips, and we're going to share this video for you. Tips on for seasonal allergies. So this is going to be about a 5 minute, little less than 5 minute. So let's hear from Dr. Jaffe on this important topic. So give me just a moment to share here.
And before he gets that video up, I just want to remind you all, next week we're going to move our broadcast time to Friday live, and we're going to have a special guest, Dr. David Francis, who is a dentist, and we're going to talk about the dental connection to nutrition and dentistry connection, and some of the wonderful things that he does that are not so invasive in taking care of his patients. Really excited to interview and talk with Dr. Francis.
Yeah. So we will update you on that. Stay tuned. But here we go. Here's Dr. Jaffe talking about some lifestyle tips for seasonal allergies.
Yes, seasonal allergies have to do with the particles in the air, mostly pollen and other materials. So they're an indication that you need more antioxidants and repair guard. I would be taking 4 repair guard 4 times a day if I had seasonal allergies.
Cell repair, quercetin repair.
With regard to air cleaners, there is an effective relatively new device that
Steve, can you hear me?
I hear you, but Dr. Jaffe's audio is really weak.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, I can't hear him. I just hear tiny little squabble in the background.
Okay. Let me redo it. Let's see here. This audio mixer, I think, is what I'm needing to get right. Nope. This better? Steve?
I would be taking 4 repair guard 4 times a day if I had.
All right, what we're going to do is we're going to share the link to this video in the chat and below, so that you guys can check this out. He's got some great tips that he shares on seasonal allergies and what you can do. So we want you guys to be able to take advantage of that information. So I'm putting it in the chat right now, link to that video. And I'm also going to put it in the notes at the bottom of this video. Now, if you're still watching, thank you. If you're sticking around, we had a little errors here and there, but we are making sure that we're coming back to these important topics. Now, one of the things that we told you is we're going to be offering you a 10% discount on the supplements. Now, if you use the discount code, it's today's date, 3/28/24 show. You're going to get 10% off all the supplements that we talked about today. So vitamin C Max, cell repair, and the other immune boosting supplements such as zinc and the immune bundle as well. So take advantage of that. It's 3/28/24 show, 10% discount. You use that at checkout. Now, next week, Steve did mention we are going to be having a guest, and our show is going to shift to Friday. It's going to be on Friday. And did we know the time on that yet, Steve?
Oh, I think I sent a tentative for 1:30. So
Okay. So
we'll have to
it'll
send
be
that.
after lunch. You obviously the video will be posted. So if you can't watch live, then we will make sure that it is posted and you can view it on the channel. But if you subscribe and click the bell notification, you will know when we go live. So if you guys want to be able to be part of that, we're going to be talking about essentially integrating dentistry and nutrition, how nutrition can help your dental health, and some dental health tips that the Dr. Francis has for you to optimize your dental health. Things that you can do naturally to help you have good dental health. He's a great dentist. We really have enjoyed connecting with him and have a good. I guess you could say we are very similar and connected in our approach to how to help people with their health. And so it's refreshing to meet a dentist that really wants to do things like that. So
Yeah.
we recommend it if you're local to check him out. If you're looking for a dentist, Dr. David Francis,
Yeah, and
he's a good
if
one.
you're in the area, we're going to be broadcasting from the Nutrition and Health Center at 12804 Willow Center Drive in Houston, and Dr. Francis will be there if you want to meet him personally after the show around 2 to 2:45. We will have him ready to meet you.
Oh, great. That's awesome. All right. Well, thank you, Steve, for sharing your wisdom with us. And we appreciate you taking the time. Thank you all for watching. And we hope to see you next week, Friday. It's going to be a little bit, normally we're 10 a.m. Thursdays. So we'll get back to 10 a.m. Thursdays the following week. But next week will be about 1:30 p.m. Friday, and we'll be live from the Nutrition and Health Center. So we hope you all have a great week, great weekend, and that you prosper and be in health. Take care. We'll see you soon.
Many blessings.